joy. The joy of the Lord in my heart. I need to make an exchange. Before my day even start, let your light shine all through my life. My heart is open and I am ready to receive your joy.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Moments of Joy podcast. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us again. MVPs, I love you dearly. You guys are amazing, and without you, there would be no Moments of Joy podcast. Now, if you're listening for the first time and you're like, what is an MVP? Those are my most valuable players. They press play on every episode. They share the show, and without them, we wouldn't be a success. Now, if you're listening for the first time, I want to invite you to go back. Go back into the archives and listen to all that Moments of Joy podcast has to offer. We've had some amazing guests in the past, and we're expecting to do it big this year. I moved from Connecticut, a small state, to this huge state called Texas. And in Texas, they have a motto that says they do it big here. And so I'm expecting that we will do it big. Today's episode, here in my notebook, you'll notice, maybe you see or you hear me moving around some pages, and that is because I am a Christian and I pray and I seek the Lord about everything that I say on this podcast. And so today's message is for the mommies. It is for the Supermoms. If you are a supermom like me, I'm a mom of 5 boys, but you don't always feel so super, then this show is for you. Over the past month, the month of September, you guys know that we've been playing replays on the show. And we've been playing replays on the show because I wasn't feeling like such a super mom. I was going through with my 3-year-old. And so Mason is my 3-year-old. That's his precious name. And he's a tiny superhero. But upon his birth, Mason was diagnosed with congenital heart disease. He has several defects in his heart, which caused him to have surgery 3 times, and one of them being open heart surgery. So we've always gone through a difficult time with Mason, but more so recently, he's been diagnosed with autism. And I wanted to just shout out all the special needs parents because just lately, this load of carrying a special needs child has been so heavy. And I think it was so heavy for me because Mason was diagnosed with autism when he was 18 months old. So I already had a full year and a half to prepare and kind of, do what I needed to do with education and services, but I didn't. I was a little in denial. And because in Christianity, sometimes we think that we can pray things away. Sometimes we think that if we recite scriptures all the time of healing and different things, that God will miraculously, magically make our illnesses go away. And for many of us, that is not the case. For many of us, God has called to pick up this cross and to follow him. I always think about Peter in the Bible, and it says that he had a thorn in his side. And Peter prayed and prayed and prayed for the Lord to remove it. Now, in my research, theologians say that that thorn in his side was a sickness, and God did not take his sickness away. But he didn't, because it always allowed and made Peter to call upon the name of the Lord. It strengthened him, it stretched him, and it made him who he was. And so here I am. And I did that little look up because I realized that I said Peter had a thorn in his side, and it was Paul. Paul had a thorn in his side, Apostle Paul, and it made him who he really was. And that is found in 2 Corinthians 12, verses 6 through 7. And so this note is for us, for Supermoms. What I found myself going through with Mason was so difficult. I learned that I needed to accept this. You need Camille. You need to accept it. And I began to research. But during the pandemic was the most difficult time for us because Mason wouldn't sleep through the night. Many times he would go to bed at 9 o'clock, wake up at 11 p.m., and stay up all night. So it would be 8 a.m. and the sun would come up and he would be still up. So night after night, that meant I wasn't getting any sleep. My husband really wasn't getting any sleep. And so that was stretching me. He would sometimes cry all day because he was really nonverbal and not able to tell us, what he wanted or what he needed from us. And I was just going through a difficult time in handling my autistic son. I called my mom one day and I said, I have a special heart. I have respect, so much respect for parents who have to raise special needs children. I think that you don't really understand until you have to walk in those shoes. And that's with anything. But this allowed me to feel their heart because my child, he's only autistic. But there are many who have children who were born maybe with no eyes or no legs, maybe with no eyeballs. They're born with cleft lip and nose. People are born with sick children that are in the hospital all day, every day. So even in that, I just said, God, I thank you that this is only what I have to deal with. So I wanted to encourage the special needs parents or any parent that might be feeling overwhelmed. I want to encourage you to get and find a community. So what I started to do was join groups on Facebook. I found autistic groups, autistic mom groups, and groups that allowed me to learn from them, learn from their experiences, everything about my son, how he doesn't like to touch certain things, how he doesn't like to eat certain things. If you're eating something and he thinks that it's nasty, he'll gag. And so I got to hear the stories of other parents that were like me and from all over the world. And it was so encouraging. So I want you guys to do the same thing. Sometimes I think just with the United States, America, and just how we are as a society, we have painted families to have to be perfect. And maybe, it's over the years become the picture of the perfect family, but it doesn't necessarily need to be your family. And so I was thinking this week about the perfect family, the mom, the dad, the boy, the girl, the dog, the nice house with the white picket fence, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. But in reality, families don't look like that. Reality is that your family can look whatever way it is and be perfect for you. I have a blended family, so I have one bonus daughter, and then I have 5 children on my own, one being with my husband. And that's my family. But I think for a long time, I carried such a weight because my family wasn't perfect. And for a long time, my children didn't even live with me. They lived with their dad because I lost them in a custody battle. And so I felt such a shame because, my family didn't look like the perfect American family. So, note to Supermoms today. There's no perfect family, but there is your perfect family. So be encouraged in that, knowing that you don't have to measure your family up against anyone else's. And if you're raising a special needs child, get services for him. So that is what I spent the month of September doing, finding things that will help Mason. Getting him into school, we made the decision to send him back to school full time. So getting him into school, getting him the ABA therapy, the speech therapy, the occupational therapy to teach him how to use his hands and eat his food with his fork, working on his fine motor skills. So I identified that I could not give him everything that he needed. And so, Supermoms, it's okay. Identify sometimes that you need help and go and get your help. Find your tribe, whether that's a doctor, whether that's a counselor. I have another child that I put into therapy for counseling, and he's doing wonderful. He's thriving for the first time. He's on the honor roll. And moms, I started getting counseling. Oh, because sometimes we can't carry the whole load, and we just need somebody to talk to say, I'm just checking in. I just want to make sure I'm okay. Because this pandemic that we are going through is serious. And it's heavy. It's a heavy weight. And so, Supermoms, make sure that you are practicing your self-care. And for me, my self-care is coffee and tea. I love a good cup of coffee and a good cup of tea. Shout out to BC Wellness Teas, my favorite tea company. And that gives me a moment to sit to myself and check in with Camille. Because you are the most important person. And if you're not okay, then your family's not okay. Whether you are married, whether you are single, you matter. And so, note to Supermoms that don't always feel so super. Strength is your portion today. So I find myself always praying for listeners. I recently shared on my social media platform, and I'm going to actually pull out that post. I shared a story on my social media platform. Well, I can't actually find it right now, but about Mason, and someone contacted me from Australia who was blessed about hearing Mason's story and actually had me to come speak on their show. So moms, I want to encourage you to speak out about autism. Speak out about special needs. And if it's not specifically special needs or autism that you may be dealing with in your circle, in your family, whatever it is, speak out about it. I just share with you all that I had my son have him in counseling because I think that as Christians, we need Jesus, and sometimes we need therapy to help us to grow, to talk through our feelings, and to get to the next level. Okay? So I promised you guys that we will start keeping these episodes short, but I just wanted to leave a note for the Supermoms and let you know that I see you, I feel you, I love you, and I'm always praying for you. As we wrap up today's episode, always remember that no matter what is happening around you, you always have the option to choose joy. Bye-bye.